tone down on the samosas and pakoras for a bit, and there was a bottle of cold water there. And I was thinking to myself, if you think deeply about it, that is exactly the reason that you fast, and that is because Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. As the month of Ramadan comes ahead, it's important to ask ourselves the question, why do we fast? Hasib, why do you fast?
Okay, you could talk about the practical benefits of Ramadan till the cows come home.
Right.
And that's something I concentrate on during Ramadan myself. Yeah. And the practical benefits can be obviously from a health perspective, fasting is great for you. From a spiritual perspective, it forces you into a situation where you're looking internally, because essentially you don't have many distractions, and also the lack of energy kind of forces you into a situation where you really look internally for energy, for a source to continue. And also you kind of, when you're opening the fast, that's something you're excited for, because there's a sense of community just within the family. And when we open the fast, it really brings the community, the family as well, together. That's something, these are some of the things that I really enjoy, and these are obviously things that many people enjoy.
Yeah, also some of the reasons why, especially when we talk to people who aren't Muslim and we explain why do we fast, and it makes sense to explain it from their paradigm in a way that they can connect to it, which is that we fast, and one of the wisdoms and one of the benefits of fasting is that we can connect with people who don't have food to eat, who are forced to fast because they can't break their fast, they don't have food. And also those who are poor, that we're able to connect with those. We're able to be grateful for the food that we have, that we're voluntarily giving up. In the sense that it's up to us as Muslims. Of course, we make it obligatory upon ourselves. But it's a choice that we have, that we want to obey this command. But that actually isn't the reason that we fast. If you think about it yourself even, that isn't why you fast. And it's actually nonsensical for you to think that. For you to say that this is the reason that I fast in Ramadan for 29 or 30 days from dawn to dusk, and when the month is coming up, like, we're all going to be excited for the month, and we're going to wait for the announcement to come out, and we're going to make sure that we know we know for sure that the next day is going to be Ramadan, or if it's not, we're definitely not going to fast. And we're very precise about these things. And we don't eat, we don't have food and drink for that time. All of these reasons don't point towards those benefits specifically. If you think from a health perspective, there perhaps is a better way to use the fast for health benefits. Also, based on your situation, it might be better to do a different kind of fast.
Also, just to highlight the point before you move on, that exactly what you're saying about the health side of things, that you can kind of increase the health benefits by doing the fast a different way. So, and also you don't have to, you can do that sort of fast any time of year. You don't have to, you can drink throughout it, for example, and that makes it easier for yourself, and you can do it according to your schedule. You don't have to, unlike the Ramadan fasts where it starts at a certain period and it ends at a certain period, you can be flexible throughout the year. If you just want the health benefits, if you just want to kind of the health benefits, but also some of the spiritual benefits as well. But Ramadan, that's exactly your point. That's why Ramadan is different, and those reasons aren't actually the reasons why you fast.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you wake up in the middle of the night to eat a small amount, even if it's basically nothing, even if it's a sip of water, if it's just a few dates, because there's a different reason why you have that. Of course, it's also to sustain you, but there's a blessing behind that. And the reason that we fast as Muslims, and it's not specific to us as if we're saints, even everyone who's watching this video, if you think deeply about it, that is exactly the reason that you fast, and that is because Allah told you to fast. You were told to fast. It is obligatory to fast. That's the only reason why we fast, specifically those set of days, in that particular manner, from those particular times. The only reason is because Allah told us to fast. And we explained that further, that if it was for other reasons, there would be other ways to do it. If the reason to fast was to connect with those who are poor, like, no one in their right mind would really think, okay, I'm going to choose what otherwise would have been an arbitrary number of days in a random time of the year, which also changes. It goes back every 10 days. It's based on the lunar calendar. It doesn't actually make sense. And if you think about this, that is exactly the reason why I fast. It shows a lot about yourself. It shows that you are able to do something that you are giving up food and drink and your desires, things that are not only do they help in your life, not only do they benefit your life, but they are basic, they are absolutely essential for your existence. If you leave them altogether, you will literally cease to exist.
Yeah, and the whole point is that you're going against apparent logic, right? Why? Because you're showing God the true humility. I would say that, okay, from a practical perspective, I could have gone about this a different way and still have reaped a lot of the health benefits or the spiritual benefits or the connection with the poor. But you're showing God that true humility in the sense that there's something I don't know. I don't know everything. So this is beyond my logic, beyond my understanding, beyond my knowledge, and beyond everything that I can logically see. So I'm going against this logic because I'm showing that I'm humble to you, humble to God, and I believe that you know something that I don't.
Yeah, exactly. I'll give an example from myself, and this is something that we can all relate to. I think it was perhaps last year or the year before. I was traveling back to my hometown, and it was Ramadan. I was studying and I was working during the day. It was quite warm during the day, and I went down into my car in an underground car park, and it was completely empty. There was no one there, and there was a bottle of cold water there, and I was thinking to myself that it won't even cross my mind that perhaps I can have a sip. That like literally no one is watching. In terms of all the other reasons why someone might fast, it won't make any difference if you have like a sip of water. Like perhaps it'll even benefit yourself if those were the reasons why. But this isn't something amazing about me. Anyone who's watching this video and who fasts during the month of Ramadan would think the exact same thing. That it's absolutely nonsensical to do that. Because what's the point of fasting those days other than because Allah told you to do it so? And it wouldn't cross your mind whatsoever that like, maybe I can have like a sip, maybe I can have this, unless you didn't want to do it in the first place. But most people, and this is quite interesting, I think there was a Pew research done a few years ago, and it showed that, I think it was 93% of Muslims, they say that they fast in the month of Ramadan. Which is considerably higher than those who pay zakah and those who pray 5 times a day. And this is also an interesting testament to the fact that how many times was fasting in the month of Ramadan mentioned in the Quran? It was just mentioned once. And most of the ummah, most Muslims, they don't have an issue when they fast every day during the month. But Allah tells us to pray, to establish the prayer again and again and again in the Quran. But we're more irregular with that. So we can take this positively and negatively. But if we want to be positive about it, we are proving to ourselves that we can do something that would have otherwise been very difficult. Definitely Allah makes it easy. And what perhaps might be ironic is that in the verse talking about fasting in Ramadan, in one of the verses, He mentions that He wants to make things easy for you. يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ بِكُمُ الْيُسْرَ وَلَا يُرِيدُ بِكُمُ الْعُسْرَ. Allah wants to make things easy for you. He doesn't want to make things difficult for you. So this is the real reason why we fast. The real reason is because Allah told us to do so. That's the reason why we fast. But there are many benefits of fasting. The ones that we mentioned, the health benefits, the fact that you connect with people who are poor, you appreciate the food and all the blessings that you have. And it doesn't make sense to neglect those. Correct, your fast will be valid and it will be accepted. And most people tend to forget that aspect of it, which is the case. But if you're going through all of that already, going an extra step to fulfill some of those other things, for example, being healthy. What's ironic about Ramadan is that after Ramadan, more people gain weight after Ramadan than what might be expected. That you're fasting during the day, but you still gain weight because of all the food that you're eating. So perhaps maybe if you want to tone down on the samosas and pakoras for a bit, not saying that you shouldn't follow the sunnah of having the samosa and pakora. That's a joke. But just being a bit more aware of that, so that'll push you to gain other benefits as well.
Yeah, the whole point is that you're put in a situation where you have to be disciplined to a certain extent anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
How about use that to the max and allow that discipline to spill over into all the other aspects of your life? Because it's just easier that way.
Yeah.
Because you have to be disciplined to be able to get through the fast. You have to get up a certain time, as you mentioned, to eat, and you have to kind of organize everything a certain way. You have to, the students have to study. The people who are work, they have to work despite having no food, maybe not ideal sleep. So it really builds your character and your discipline. But how about we actually allow that to make ourselves more disciplined in the other aspects of life as well, and use Ramadan as sort of a runway to be better and more disciplined for the rest of our lives. Because as soon as Ramadan is over, we kind of it's easy to excuse ourselves into months of gluttony because apparently we've restricted ourselves too much, but usually that isn't the case either, because like you said, we're extremely gluttonous when it does come time to open our fast, and we usually end up being unhealthy or unhealthier than we started.
Just to finish off and reiterate the purpose of fasting and what it means to be successful in terms of your fasting in Ramadan. There's a hadith of the Prophet ﷺ in which he said that there are people who fast and get nothing from their fasting except hunger. And there are those who pray and get nothing from their prayer but a sleepless night. In another hadith he said that whoever doesn't give up false statements and evil deeds and speaking bad words to others, Allah is not in need of his leaving his food and drink. So it reminds us what exactly is the purpose of fasting. And that is, as it's mentioned in the Quran, لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ, so that we can become conscious of Allah, so that we can be aware of God, be aware of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that is, it shows through your actions. It's not about that you're leaving food and drink. Yes, if you do that successfully, you have completed the fast. You have fulfilled the obligation. But if you really want to get the most out of your fast and retain the reward as much as possible, it shows in the actions that you do.
So basically, rather than going through Ramadan fasting each day with the mindset of just ticking the box off as we fast, another day of no food and drink, another day of no food and drink, rather than having that mindset, we should go into Ramadan with the intention of getting most importantly, the maximum reward possible from a religious perspective, but also practically gain all the spiritual benefits, the connection with the poor, the health benefits as much as possible. Because if we're going to be in a situation where we're going to fast anyway, our attitude should be to gain as much benefit as we can, practically, religiously, spiritually. And that's really the mindset we should be going into Ramadan with.
And why not?
Exactly.
Why not? And with that, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make this Ramadan a real month of change for us, both in terms of our insides, in terms of spiritually. And may He allow us to get all our sins forgiven in this month and truly make this month a month of change, so that going forward, we are different individuals. We are better than where we are when we started the month of Ramadan. Ameen. We will see you in the next video. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Ramzan, Ramzan.